Have you ever lost a loved one? One day, they're right there beside you, happy and safe, and in the blink of an eye, they're gone. Without a trace, without a goodbye. This isn't just a story about a lost dog. It's a story of loyalty, perseverance, and an emotional reunion, a moment no one could ever forget. 1 year apart, a harsh journey, and a love that never faded. When fate finally brought them back together, something happened that left everyone speechless. Before we dive into this heartfelt story, don't forget to subscribe to Dog Stories so you never miss an inspiring true story about loyal dogs. Your support means the world to us. So, what really happened? How did fate bring them back together? Let's find out right now. Mia Louise lived in Seattle, Washington, a bustling city that still had its peaceful corners. She was a freelance graphic designer, working from home and spending most of her time in her cozy little apartment. But Mia's life was never lonely, because by her side, she always had Ace, a loyal German shepherd who had been with her since he was a puppy. Ace wasn't just a dog, he was Mia's best friend. She had raised him since he was just a 4-month-old pup, with big round eyes and a coat as soft as velvet. Over the years, Ace had become an inseparable part of her life. No matter how busy she was, Mia always made time to care for him and play with him. The special bond between Mia and Ace. From the very beginning, Ace had proven to be incredibly smart and quick-witted. He learned basic commands in no time, but he also had a mischievous side that often gave Mia a headache. One time, he sneaked into the living room, dragged an entire roll of toilet paper across the floor, and ran around with pure excitement. Even when Mia was frustrated, she could never stay mad at him for long. Ace always had a way of making her laugh with his playful antics. There was one routine they never skipped. Every afternoon, Mia and Ace would take a walk to Green Lake Park near their home. Those moments were her favorite part of the day. She would let Ace run freely on the wide grassy fields, chasing squirrels or wagging his tail excitedly at other dogs. Ace always ran ahead, but he never strayed too far. The moment Mia called his name, he would come bounding back, tongue hanging out, tail wagging wildly as if to say, "I'm here, I'll never leave you." The memories with Ace weren't just about playful moments. They were also about the times he comforted Mia when she needed him the most. Whenever she had a rough day or struggled with work, Ace would gently rest his head on her lap, his deep eyes filled with understanding as if to say, "Everything will be okay." As long as he was by her side, Mia never felt alone. The fateful day. Ace goes missing. One late summer afternoon, like any other day, Mia took Ace to the park. The sky was clear, a gentle breeze drifted through the air, and the atmosphere was calm and refreshing. But today, the park was more crowded than usual. A community event was happening. Laughter and chatter filled the space, children ran around excitedly, and small vendor stalls lined the pathways, selling food and souvenirs. Ace was more excited than ever. He darted around, sniffing the air frantically as if discovering a whole new world. Mia kept an eye on him, but as she got caught up in conversation with an old friend, she didn't notice Ace wandering further away than usual. Then, thud! A ball bounced right in front of Ace. His instincts kicked in immediately. He lunged after it, weaving through the crowd. Mia turned her head just in time to see Ace disappear into the sea of people. "What? Where's Ace?" Mia's heart pounded in her chest as she frantically scanned the crowd. She shouted, "Ace, come here, boy." But there was no response. She pushed through the crowd, weaving between strangers, asking anyone who would listen. "Have you seen a German shepherd?" she pleaded, but every answer was the same. No one had seen him. Her stomach tightened. A sinking feeling crept into her chest. Ace had vanished into the chaos. She called his name again, her voice shaky with panic, but the only answer she received was silence. Ace darted through the sea of people, his strong legs propelling him forward as he chased after the ball. But as it rolled into a dense part of the crowd, the overwhelming noise, rushing footsteps, and flashing lights from vendor stalls disoriented him. He skidded to a stop, ears perked up. Where was Mia? Ace turned around, but she was gone. A wave of anxiety crashed over him. He retraced his steps, pushing past unfamiliar legs, sniffing desperately for her familiar scent. But the further he ran, the more her presence faded into the distance. Then suddenly, a loud whistle pierced the air. A bicycle screeched to a halt right in front of him, the rider shouting, "Get out of the way!" Ace jolted backward, startled. The shouting, the flashing lights, the blaring city sounds, it was all too much. Panic took over, and before he knew it, his legs were moving on their own. He bolted, away from the noise, away from the park, away from everything familiar. Somewhere in the distance, the bright lights of the park faded. Mia was gone. The first days on the streets. For the first time in his life, Ace was truly alone. Ace wandered through dark alleyways where the scent of garbage and the unfamiliar city noises kept him on edge. His stomach growled with hunger, and his throat was painfully dry. He had never known what it felt like to be without food or warmth. Mia had always been there, with a full bowl of food and a soft bed waiting for him. But now, he had to survive on his own. He sniffed around a dumpster, hoping to find something, anything to eat. But the smell was overwhelming. Rotting food, stale grease, and decay. A torn plastic bag spilled out crusty breadcrumbs, and Ace lowered his head to investigate. Before he could take a bite, a stray dog lunged at him, teeth bared in warning. Ace immediately backed off. He wasn't looking for a fight. He kept walking, his paws dragging against the cold concrete pavement. That first night, he curled up under a small awning, rain pattering on the ground beside him. The cold seeped into his fur, but the worst part wasn't the weather. It was the aching emptiness of missing Mia. A harsh winter. Seattle's winter crept in quickly. The temperature dropped, and icy winds sliced through the streets. Ace curled up beneath a discarded cardboard box near a small cafe, where the warm scent of pastries drifted through the cracks of the door. Every day, Ace wandered, hoping to catch even the faintest trace of Mia. But the streets were unfamiliar. The towering buildings all looked the same, and no one called his name anymore. He tried approaching a few people, hoping for a scrap of food or even a kind glance, but not everyone was welcoming. "Get lost," a man shouted when Ace sniffed at his hand. Another person threw a small rock at him, forcing him to retreat. Ace didn't understand. He had never been treated this way before. Dangerous encounters. Not everyone was cruel, but no one truly cared about him either. One day, while rummaging through a trash bin, Ace came face to face with a pack of stray dogs. 3 thin, battle-worn dogs stared at him, their sharp eyes untrusting. One of them bared its teeth and growled. Ace had no intention of fighting. Slowly, he backed away, but the pack had already begun circling around him. Just as the tension reached its peak, a sharp whistle cut through the air. A man in a uniform stepped into view, an animal control officer. A different fear surged through Ace. He had heard the stories from other strays, about the shelters, about how dogs were taken away and never seen again. As the man stepped closer, Ace spun around and ran. He darted through the alleys, sprinting as fast as his tired legs could carry him. Behind him, the sound of footsteps and shouting gradually faded. When he finally reached a quieter area, Ace slipped into a dark corner, chest rising and falling rapidly as he caught his breath. Holding on to hope. The days that followed weren't any easier. Ace slowly learned how to survive on the streets. He discovered places where restaurants left out scraps, and he found quiet alleyways where he could curl up and sleep without fear. He became more cautious around people, only approaching those who seemed kind. But every night, when the world grew silent, Ace would lift his head toward the sky. He missed Mia. He missed her hugs, their afternoon runs in the park, the way she gently called his name. And deep down he knew he would find her again. He didn't know how, and he didn't know when. But Ace would never stop searching. Mia had never felt such panic before. Ace was gone. She ran through the park, calling his name over and over. Passers-by gave her concerned looks, but no one had seen a German shepherd running past. Mia searched every corner, checking every pathway, hoping to see his familiar shape emerge from the crowd. But as the minutes passed, hope slowly turned into fear. "Ace, where are you?" The first days of searching, Mia refused to rest. That very night, she sat at her desk and designed a missing dog poster, typing the words in bold, urgent letters. "Missing dog, please help me find him. Name Ace, breed German Shepherd, color black and tan. Last seen Green Lake Park, Seattle. Contact, Mia's phone number." She printed hundreds of copies, plastering them everywhere. Streetlights, bus stops, coffee shops, grocery stores. She even asked local store owners if she could leave a few at their counters. Mia also took to social media, posting about Ace on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Nextdoor, any platform that could help connect her with people in Seattle. Her post read, "Ace isn't just a dog, he's my family. Please, if you see him, contact me immediately." Calls filled with hope and disappointment. The following days, Mia's phone rang constantly. Each time her heart raced with anticipation. "I saw a German Shepherd near the parking lot." Mia rushed there, but it wasn't Ace. "There's a stray dog wandering downtown." She drove as fast as she could, but again, it wasn't him. "There's a stray dog wandering on the outskirts of the city." She drove for 30 minutes in the middle of the night, but when she arrived, the dog was already gone. "I think I saw him at a rescue shelter." Mia rushed to the center, her heart pounding. But when the door opened, the staff member pointed to a different dog, one that only looked slightly like Ace. Mia bit her lip, fighting back tears as she walked away. She refused to give up. Every single day, she searched, walking through the streets, asking anyone she met. She spent hours combing through lost pet groups on Facebook, checking every newly rescued dog in shelters. But there was never any news of Ace. Days turned into weeks, weeks turned into months, months of hopelessness. 3 months after Ace went missing, Mia began to wear down. Her apartment felt empty. Ace's old bed was still there, but no one curled up in it anymore. His toys sat untouched in the corner, collecting dust. She couldn't sleep. Every time she closed her eyes, she imagined Ace out there somewhere, lost, hungry, freezing in the cold. The thought tormented her, making it impossible to stay still. She visited every animal shelter in the city, leaving flyers behind, begging the staff to call her if they saw any dog that even remotely resembled Ace. But the answer was always the same. "We haven't seen a dog like that, but we'll keep an eye out." The last glimmers of hope. 6 months passed. Then 8. Mia slowly came to terms with the possibility that Ace might never come back. Bottom of form one afternoon, while driving home, Mia passed an empty lot where a group of volunteers was feeding stray dogs. She pulled over, stepped out, and asked, "Has anyone seen a lost German Shepherd around here?" An older man looked at her with a gentle, sympathetic expression. "We see a lot of dogs, miss. Some of them have been on the streets for so long, they don't even recognize their owners anymore." His words hit Mia like a knife to the heart. Would Ace still remember her? She clenched her fists and took a deep breath. She knew she couldn't keep living like this. 1 year later. On the exact day marking 1 year since Ace disappeared, Mia woke up and realized it had been a long time since she last dreamed about him. He no longer appeared in her sleep, and slowly he had begun to fade from her daily thoughts. She didn't want to forget him, but deep inside, she knew it was time to accept reality. That morning, she went to Green Lake Park, where they had spent so many afternoons together. A gentle breeze rippled across the lake, the water reflecting the golden light of the sun. She let herself smile softly at the memory of Ace. She no longer searched for him, but deep down she still held on to hope. If Ace was still alive, he was thinking of her too. And maybe, just maybe, fate would bring them back together one day. Mia drove down a quiet street, the sunset casting a golden glow over the old buildings in the outskirts of town. She had no real destination. It had been a long day, and she just wanted to clear her mind. A whole year had passed, yet there were still moments when she felt like she was searching for Ace. She had tried to accept the truth, but her heart still ached whenever she saw a German Shepherd on the street. But Mia had learned to stop hurting herself with false hope. She pulled up to a red light, waiting, and then she saw him, a familiar silhouette. At the corner of the street ahead, a thin figure stood next to a small food stall. A dog, its black and tan fur covered in dust, its ears still standing tall and alert. Mia's heart nearly stopped. No way. She squinted, trying to get a clearer look. At that exact moment, the dog turned its head toward her. A pair of eyes she could never forget. Even through the dust, even through exhaustion, they were the same hopeful, loyal eyes Mia had known all her life. Ace saw her too. For a second, neither of them moved, as if time itself had frozen. And then, Ace bolted toward the car, dropping everything else. He ran like his life depended on it, like if he hesitated for even a second, she would disappear forever. His frail legs moved with desperate speed, his body trembling with exhaustion but refusing to stop. His tail wagged so violently that his whole body shook, his eyes filled with pure joy and overwhelming fear. Fear that this was just a dream, an illusion from all the lonely nights he had spent searching. Mia threw open the car door and ran. "Ace!" He leaped into her arms, pressing his head against her chest, his tail wagging so hard it shook his entire body. Mia held him tightly, as if letting go would make him disappear again. She couldn't hold back anymore. Tears streamed down her face, her breath hitching in quiet sobs. "It's you! It's really you, Ace! This isn't a dream, right?" Ace let out a short bark and licked her face, as if to reassure her that this was real. People on the street stopped to watch, curiosity in their eyes, but Mia didn't care. At this moment, the world was just her and Ace. But then, Ace suddenly paused. He turned his head, looking behind him. And that was when Mia noticed something surprising. Ace's new friends. 3 other dogs slowly stepped forward. They hesitated, their eyes bright yet cautious, unsure of what to do. Ace looked at Mia, then back at them. His expression wavered, as if he was torn between 2 worlds. Mia understood instantly. Ace hadn't been alone this past year. He had survived on the streets with these dogs who had also been abandoned, unloved, left to fend for themselves. They had become a pack, a family. And now, he couldn't just walk away and leave them behind. Ace turned back to Mia, his eyes pleading. "Please, don't make me choose." Mia felt a lump form in her throat. She looked at the stray dogs, a golden Labrador with a small scar on its ear, likely from a fight for survival. A smaller mixed-breed dog, one of its legs slightly limp, yet its eyes still full of life. And a white and gray husky, the most cautious of the group, watching everything from a safe distance. They stared at Mia, but they didn't run. They trusted Ace, and maybe, in some way, they were starting to trust her too. Mia looked down at Ace. He stood still, waiting for her decision. And in that moment, she knew. She couldn't separate them. An emotional decision. Mia smiled through her tears, knelt down, and slowly reached out a hand toward the 3 dogs. "Do you guys want to come home with me?" The dogs blinked, hesitating. Then the Labrador stepped forward first, gently pressing its head against her hand. The small mixed breed followed, nudging her fingers with its nose. The husky hesitated the longest. But when Ace let out a happy bark, as if saying, "It's okay, trust her," the husky finally took a step forward. Mia laughed softly, pulling Ace into another hug before running her hands over each of the new dogs. "That settles it. All 4 of you are coming home with me." Ace wagged his tail wildly, as if a huge weight had just been lifted off his shoulders. He barked excitedly, jumping up on Mia, his eyes shining with gratitude. "Thank you, Mia. I knew you would do this." Going home, a new family. On the way home, Mia glanced into the rearview mirror and saw Ace watching her, his eyes filled with pure happiness. In the back seat, the 3 other dogs had begun to relax, their tense bodies slowly unwinding as they settled into the safety of the car. Mia let out a soft smile. A year ago, she had lost Ace. But today, she didn't just get him back. She gained 3 new friends as well. Mia pushed open the door to her apartment, and for the first time in a year, it no longer felt empty. Ace stepped inside first, his eyes lighting up as he took in the familiar sights and smells. He sniffed his old bed, then turned back to look at Mia, as if to confirm. This was real. This wasn't just a dream. The 3 other dogs hesitated at the doorway, still a little wary. But then, Ace let out an excited bark, as if saying, "Come on in, this is home now." Slowly, the strays stepped forward, sniffing curiously around the room. Mia knelt down, gently running her hand over each of them. "From now on, this is your home. No more hunger, no more cold, no more wandering." The Labrador wagged its tail. The small mixed breed nuzzled against her leg, and the husky, after carefully surveying the space, finally curled up in the corner, as if it had finally found peace. Mia looked around at them, her heart swelling with joy and warmth. In the days that followed, Mia's apartment became livelier than ever. Ace quickly returned to his playful self. After a year of hardship, he was still the same energetic, mischievous dog Mia had always known. Now, he took on a new role, teaching his 3 new friends how to live indoors. From drinking water from a bowl to claiming Mia's bed the moment she got up, he showed them all the little tricks of being a house dog. Mia took all 4 dogs to the vet for a full checkup. They had a few old wounds and signs of malnutrition, but nothing serious. All they needed was a home and love, and they would heal. Every day, Mia spent time playing with them, taking them for walks in the park, the same park where Ace had disappeared a year ago. But this time, he wasn't alone. She gave each of the new dogs a name: Bailey, the Labrador, because he radiated warmth like sunshine; Milo, the small mixed breed, tiny but bursting with energy; Shadow, the husky, who preferred to stay in the background, quietly observing before making a move. Ace seemed to understand that from now on, he wasn't just Mia's dog, he was part of a new family. He was still the Ace she had always known, but now he was stronger, wiser, and more resilient. A lesson from this story: fate or loyalty. Mia once believed she had lost Ace forever, but somehow fate had brought them back together in a way no one could have predicted. Was it just a coincidence? Or was it love and loyalty that guided Ace back to her? He never gave up. For an entire year, he never stopped thinking about Mia. He kept searching, and the moment he saw her again, he ran, without hesitation, without fear. Do you believe in fate? Have you ever experienced a miraculous reunion like this? Share your story with us in the comments below. Mia didn't just find Ace again, she gave a home to 3 other homeless dogs. Right now, thousands of dogs are still wandering the streets, hungry and alone, waiting for someone to give them a chance at love. If you're thinking about bringing a 4-legged friend into your life, consider adopting instead of buying. Help spread this story so that more people can understand the importance of rescuing and caring for abandoned animals. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Dog Stories so you never miss an inspiring story like this. We believe that every animal deserves a home and a loving family. You have the power to change their lives. Thank you for listening to this heartwarming story.